And we are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Today, I am joined by Brooks Heatherly. Brooks Heatherly, let me actually pronounce the name.
Thank you.
He is the owner and content creator for No Bullshit. His links are in the description box of this channel. He also has No BS 2, which you can find through his channel. I completely forgot to link that second part. And his Twitter's in there, at Brooks Heatherly. How you doing, No BS? And how's quarantine life treating you?
Oh, doing great, man. Doing great. Just holding up as much as we can, trying to stay inside, seeing a few close family and friends. But happy to be here, dude. Thanks for having me back on. I'm really excited to talk about things. And yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Right. So there's like a little bit of, I see a little bit of chatter, like chitter chatter in the chat. We got 100 people already, and I saw it before I came on. To Ivison Nightfall, you did in fact join in the perfect time because I just started. We had a little technical issue prior to the stream. So
I like how you can share the comments like that. It looks cool. I was wondering where that came from.
I actually really enjoy the StreamYards. You actually recommended it to me a while ago, and I ended up like biting the bullet and paying for it, and it's definitely been worth it.
Yeah, it looks cool. I saw you use it on another stream too. Like, yeah, it looks nice.
I've been doing all of them with this.
Cool.
So like the thing that we're going to start with is I've been seeing it in the chat. As soon as I announced that you were the guest, see, somebody's actually brought it up in the chat right now. As soon as we announced that you're the guest, people started flooding my comments with it. And this is like the controversy that I think you've addressed on other streams, that at one point, according to the Vosh side and people right now, even in my own chat, they were under the impression that you were a neo-Nazi.
Insane. Yeah, I hear that almost every day on Twitter. It's absolutely false. Never something I've associated with. Mostly, I think it's like, I've said this before, it seems like I'm like supposed to be the secret one, like I'm a secret Nazi, which seems to be like the claim they put on a lot of people.
In my Vosh video, not my Vosh video, Jesus, in my Hunter video, which I don't want to get into too much because like you guys had a pre-existing personal relationship that's not like fit for air right now.
Sure.
I pointed out that like, that's a clip that's in there, and a bunch of people started spamming me that. So and one of the things that I want to bring up is that, and we talked about this on air to give people actual disclosure. I want to read this super chat. It says Meredith Stone 199. I just wanted to say Chinese virus.
It's from China.
So like, one of the things that we were talking about, and we've actually talked about it multiple times off air, because I've known Brooks since I had a channel at like 200 subscribers.
Yeah, we go way back, man. It's good to be still kicking around and doing content. Like I think that was like mid 2017 or something, right?
Right. And like, yeah, I think so. Maybe I started end of 2016, but I wasn't like a real channel maybe until 2017.
That's when I think it was that summer we linked up and started chatting.
Right. So like one of the things that we've talked about off air, and like you said, it's cool if we talk about it on air, is that it's like there's certain quotes going around of you, and it's like that you're using like Holocaust denial talking points. And we talked about this off air, and I explained it to you because my background is that I used to design graduate courses at a criminal justice college, and one of them was in counterterrorism. And the impression that I got from you in that conversation, in fact, you've outright stated it, was that at that time you weren't really aware that those were like talking points of those groups. And after I explained them to you, you're like, oh, okay. Like I shouldn't have said some of that stuff. It's really inappropriate. And like,
yeah, and I think it's like the kind of thing, it's that whole like dog whistle thing that's gotten more traction, that term. And that's why I say it's like, oh, you're a secret Nazi, or you're a secret whatever. And like, I didn't even really fully grasp that in the middle of 2017. Like a lot of these quotes, like they're never from my videos. Like anything in my video or on my current Twitter, I can pretty much stand behind like 99% unless there's something back there I don't remember or whatever.
Right.
I mean, we both make a lot of content, but anything like what we're talking about, it's like old quotes from like 2016, 2017. And sometimes I don't even know, like I say, I can't even confirm them because they're not even like stuff I post anymore.
They're not linked to a current Twitter. So I understand that. But like you do acknowledge that at some points you were basically putting some of this stuff out, but you didn't really know what it means. Like, this is the nature of our conversation.
Yeah.
Like,
It was
whether
like,
an
I mean, I
individual
knew what I was
quote-
talking about, but then it was like over time, especially
Yeah.
since then, and hearing all this backlash, it's like, okay, I guess you just really shouldn't phrase things like that, or you really shouldn't like,
Yeah,
like this
some
is
of
a
them were-
taboo topic, and it's
Right.
like touchier than I thought. And I think part of that goes too is like over time, like I think like old Twitter and even YouTube, like social media has changed. Like back in 2016 and 2017, you could still like joke around and like make dirty sense of humor. You could
Right.
still like be edgy.
No,
and,
but like
you know.
we'll get to that because that's in the one after this. But I'm just
Mhm.
saying, like you like we've talked about this, and I've said like, look, these are like the basic talking points of like those Holocaust denial people. Like, you understand that was,
Yeah,
like,
I had no idea those were the talking points or anything. That's for sure. Like
Yeah.
anything related to that, like that's why I'm still baffled when they say it's like a Holocaust denial, and I'm
Yeah.
like, but I never denied that happened.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just what, so like one of the things we do, and I haven't talked about you like with another creator, but like I've talked about like this kind of denialism like on the internet before. And one of the things they do is they throw like a factoid out at you and they try to like hit you with it. And then you're like, if you're not used to that, if like you didn't study like these talking points, you're like, oh, that might be interesting. And like, you know, if you deliver anything with like a confidence that's like that shows that you gives the impression you know what you're talking about, then some people are going to catch on and they're not really going to get what you're saying. But the other thing that like I just want to knock out early on is there's a video that I've been sent multiple times, and it's this Spencer video. Like, and I call it a Spencer video, but it's not really accurate to say that. It's a clip of a video. But in that video, you said at the end of it that like being a white nationalist is being a nationalist who happens to be white.
Yeah, that was my understanding at that time too. That's like the biggest confusion. But I pretty much, like you said, when you went back to it, like I spell it all out. Like I spell out what my thoughts are. I was just like, there's nothing wrong with being a white person who loves America, who loves their country. And then that's why it kind of gets misconstrued. And this was like another thing where it's like, yeah, if you go back to that time period, not only was like the person in question, like Spencer wasn't nearly as toxic back then.
Well,
so it was like
the audio hadn't leaked from him. And
and it was like early on, not saying he was ever like a great guy, but that's the thing. Like, I don't even want to try and like defend him because
you don't have to defend him.
I'm not.
I know you don't want to, but I'm saying
I never even talked about him since then. And this was like the only video where it's mentioned, and it was just like, and then
it's weird because you have the topic of the video was that he got protested out, or like they pulled his invitation to speak at a Florida university. And at that time period, they were pulling those invitations from like Ben Shapiro and all these other people who are not in the same camp as Richard Spencer. Ben Shapiro is an Orthodox Jew, but they were calling them white nationalists because they would like express some nationalist views. And perceptually they're white, but like at that time it's in the video, it's in the clip. At the end of the clip, you're like, they call people that are, or something to this effect, like there's nothing wrong with being white and a nationalist, which is not the same thing as a white nationalist. Even though in your video you were saying that because you're basically saying that like the left calls people who are white and nationalists white nationalists. Is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. And it was just like a confusion about the term, and just like back then I didn't fully grasp like all those contexts and all the term like white nationalist together. And now I hear it over and over. And of course I would be more careful saying it like 3 years later.
Yeah.
But at that point, like I spelled out in the original video, I was just like saying a nationalist who happens to be white. You know?
And it's also like a bit disingenuous of a lot of people on the left because like it's fine to ask you to clarify your position. That's what I'm doing right now. Sure. But it's very disingenuous for people on the left to be like, oh, well, Richard Spencer, he puts on a suit and he talks very civilized, and that's convincing to like a lot of people. And that's what makes him so dangerous. That's why you got to assault him and all that stuff. But then at the same time, like anybody who's like, oh, well, he puts on a suit and he talks in a way and it doesn't seem, dangerous on the surface. And like, I don't think he's ever committed violence or whatever, but like, that Milo tape, I think, kind of like revealed who he is when he's not in front of the camera. Like the whole danger that the left puts forward by the alt-right, and I don't mean to air quote, like there is danger from the alt-right, but the whole danger that they put forward is that they're more convincing than, like, you know, the guy who's like carrying a swastika flag. And then when they're like, oh, well, this guy, when somebody comments on the fact that he presents himself well, like then it's the thing. But like that's the point. That's why he was an issue. But yeah, that's basically that's my unrelated thought. So I do have a chat from Spargrino. So what's with you liking John C. Reilly's brother? I don't know who that is.
Oh no, they're just saying I look like the actor John C. Reilly.
Oh, what's it like being his brother? Okay,
yeah.
I thought they were like, what about this person? Because
yeah, that's a high compliment to me. I love that guy. Hilarious.
Apparently, you're his brother. So I mean, I'm glad you do.
I'll take it.
All right, so I wanted to knock some of that stuff out. Like,
yeah, I'm glad to clear it up. I didn't think or necessarily know what we were talking about going into this, but
yeah,
you know, we don't have to like. Yeah, I'm not like trying to be like defensive or whatever. I think it does need cleared up, and maybe someday someone could watch this and kind of be like, oh,
yeah, you could just lop off the first 11 minutes of this and send it over.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I wanted to clear that up because, you know, obviously you and I come on, we talk movies and we talk bullshit, like, you know.
Yeah, we do a lot of variety, and then that's why I was glad you mentioned the second channel. Like we've done tons of streams on No BS too, like just for fun and stuff like that. But I think I'm actually going to be starting to bring some live stuff back to the main channel too. That's why I've been testing them out, and I finally got it.
You should do it on the main and then archive on your second so people can go back and watch.
Yeah, I'm thinking about moving that way. I just had to work on the streaming and the text side because, yeah, I just had some issues before with the sound, but I think I got it figured out last week.
So Mike Scully for $5, thank you for the donation. Thank you for starting this just in time for my lunch break. Fortunately for you, packed something today. So I have so he has his lunch money. Oh, that's actually really nice. Thank you. Because he's saying he's giving me his lunch money because he packed lunch.
Nice. Anything helps this day and age, right? Like, let's get some food supply, pack it up.
Right. I know you have issues with Nuance, bro, but he put this in. He's like, why doesn't he admit that he didn't know what he's talking about? I literally think that you just did, though.
I basically was a roundabout way of saying that, I think. But, I mean, I'm not surprised. This guy's been lying about me on Twitter, so I'm not surprised he's got some negative comments to say.
You know I do like Nuance, bro.
No, I know you guys are friends, so I'm not trying to get in between.
I just wanted to bring that up because I don't want him to think that he was what you call it. I just wanted to bring that up because I don't want him to be like I'm annoying him in the chat.
Sure. I saw some other people in the chats. A lot of No BS fans out there. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, I mean you have a what you call it. I'm like scrolling through because I see a 5. And a bunch of them. I'm trying to like make sure I don't miss them. I missed 4 chats in another stream, and you know that was not what you call it. That was
good form. That
didn't go over well. I'm just gonna say that. Like, but I had a tight schedule on this one, and Brooks has agreed to be here for I think 26 hours, something like that.
At least. I mean, I only sign up for 24-hour streams minimum.
I asked you about illegal drone war in Yemen, and you admitted and smiled. You're useless. I identify as I don't even know what this. So like
I don't know anything about that.
People send me, like, sometimes they send me chats. So there is a drone campaign in Yemen, and it went from, I think it was started under the Obama administration, and they were supporting the Saudi Arabian government, and I'm pretty sure it's continued. Trump is pretty close with the Saudi Arabians, more close than I would actually want. And what you call it? Yeah, like I'm not in favor of the drone campaign. People say drones on the internet, and it's like the end of a conversation. Like it's like you don't no. It's like you'll talk. You'll say a lot of people like defend Obama, and I know you're not an Obama guy. And then somebody would be like drone Obama, and it's like checkmate in the argument. And
that's pretty good. That's pretty good. No, what it reminds me of is that there was that Documentary Now show. It was like this funny show with Bill Hader, and they did this skit, and it was called Drones.
Right.
It was kind of like a joke on Vice, but they called it Drones. It was a really funny one if anyone's seen it. They always go drones.
Let me pick this up. So Matthew Hill says Spencer wasn't bad back then. What? No, first of all, I didn't say that. Like, in my opinion, he was, and I knew he was back then. The point I was trying to make is that the whole hype about like Richard Spencer being a bad guy came from the fact that he presented himself well. That's what made him more threatening. Like, basically, if you've ever seen that South Park episode, and you'll get this, Brooks, where they're trying to change the South Park flag, and Jimbo and the guy with the no arm in the voice box, they want to keep the flag because, and they try to plan to protest against the flag because everybody's going to see the Klan because they're so obviously racist. They're going to switch to the other side. So the left's primary argument about Spencer is that because he wears a suit, he presents himself well, he's eloquent, that he doesn't present himself as that bad, right? Like that, like the whole reason that he's supposed to be separate and more dangerous than what we saw in the past is because he's not obviously identifiable for his political beliefs. That's what I was saying about him not presenting himself as bad. And obviously he's become more toxic since the leaking of that audio. Because
and also there were certain events in Virginia that made him more toxic.
Yeah,
obviously. There was like other things like I think my point there was I never said he wasn't bad. I was just like, now it's like so toxic. Like he's gotten so toxic that people go back in time and mention videos that where he's mentioned like 3 years ago, and now that person's racist. When I came out with that video, it wasn't even controversial.
And that video, to my understanding, I haven't seen it honestly recently. I may have seen it at the time, but that video was like more on that train of don't take speakers out of what you call it. Like don't have.
It was like a free speech thing. It was just, I was glad the college is having a speaker. And then I was talking about the unrest and this and that. And then, that was just like the very small part of it.
All right. So like, I mean,
I think that's pretty good. Pretty cleared up. I don't know.
But I don't know. Yeah, so I didn't say he wasn't bad like then. Like I said, I think I was the last time I worked in like a normal job was in like 2016. So I wasn't designing courses specifically on him, but I was doing stuff related to like online, right? Like obviously like Islamic stuff because New York, 9/11 as the backdrop and all that. But we designed courses on terrorism for, the entire country.
Well, here's the thing I want to ask too, just to progress this idea. Like, okay, so for example, I'm a secret Nazi for mentioning him 3 years ago, briefly in a video, more about something else. But like, so what does that make people like? He's been on other YouTube channels. Like he was on Andy Worski's stream, right? Like when he had that big stream against Sargon, there was like hours of Spencer on that stream. And then there's another person that gets flack for this. I don't buy this because it's like I think we both know Lauren Chen as well, and she had him as a guest. And it's so by this logic, like if he's on these other shows more as an interacted guest, like does that mean Worski and them are Nazis too? Because I don't see that. But for some reason, like if you keep going down this logic, I mean, that also means that CNN is a bunch of Nazis because CNN has him on as a speaker, like currently.
Well, CNN, what you call it? CNN brought him on because he went after Trump, which is like some next level Trump derangement. You're like, this guy is terrible. He's awful. But he's against Trump, so let's give him a platform to talk. And they had the Chiron.
Yeah, I know it makes sense. And like, I'm not against it. Like, I'm not the one calling anyone.
Yeah.
What I sometimes jokingly say is the new N-word. The new N-word is useless to me. Like, I never call anyone that. But I'm saying, like, by that logic, these people that have him on in friendly situations are more of an N-word. And then CNN's promoting the guy just because he hates Trump. But it's like, did they forget about all this other stuff that everyone like slams him for?
If you've ever heard that meme, the strange new respect meme, like that's anytime somebody goes against Trump, they get strange new respect from the mainstream media.
Yeah.
But to your point about Lauren, like I literally did a video where she got called like in that mashup where I had your clip. Like a clip of her getting called a Nazi was right there.
But and that's why I don't mean to bring other people in like for no reason.
No, I know.
Like they're in similar situations, You're
like, does that happen to other people? And I'm like, literally, it does.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's messed up, and it's like it's all should be wrong. I would maybe consider myself on the low end of having like some kind of fault here, but it's like all of it. I think anyone could talk about anything. I mean, why can't we discuss it?
What I would say is maybe you should respond with the way that Functional has, but my drones, bruh.
Drones, man. So many drones.
You just respond with that, and then you're and then you're fine. And by the way, like obviously, like I've known you for a while, so like people are gonna accuse me of being like soft on this conversation, but like I've had the longer like multi-hour conversation where I'm like, look, like this is what I used to do for a living. These are the talking points. Like this is like how everything like leads. And
and that's why I'm glad to talk to you too. Like obviously there's gonna be like friendly bias or something, but I think you're the kind of person that would definitely tell me, and that's why I can like back down on certain things, because my instinct is to be defensive. Like I try to stand up for myself, and I hate like little jerks on the internet that are always doing this kind of like hatey stuff. So
you were in the chat fighting people before the stream started. I was like, dude, like technical difficulties, like you're in there.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to be friendly at first, and then some people just came out with the N-word stuff like right away, and I'm just like, just kind of goofing on them and trying to have a little fun with it.
Right. But what I would also say is, have you seen Tiger King? Because this is important.
Love it. Yeah, I love it.
Who do you side with? Do you side with the discount Oklahoma Donald Trump or the discount Florida Hillary Clinton?
Oh, I'm going to have to go Trump, just like how I did in the real polls, man. Yeah, no, Tiger King is innocent. I think he was likely framed. I think Carol Baskins has a lot to answer for. And I'm curious if there's going to be any more information or changes or updates. I know they had a new episode. It was like a after the fact interview episode with Joel McHale. I haven't watched that yet, but
there's a there's an extra episode coming out of that show. Best show news, Kratom and politics says, how do you chat on screen? I choose the chats on screen. I am lord of the thing. Oh, I forgot that you mentioned him. I'm going to talk about this in a second. It's Andy Raceworski, please. But for real, AW is quite spicy with the topics, memes, jokes. Kind of not the best idea to ask what about him. So Andy, first of all, Andy,
that's a good example though, because
I got this. On him because you mentioned him in that thing, and I was responding to each one, but I forgot about that. So yeah, Andy is, and I've actually talked about this maybe with you, but definitely with other people. When Andy did that show with the JF guy, I was like, this is going to be the end of Andy Worski, because anytime you put somebody, and Andy described his ideology as like taking ideas from a buffet, like taking what he likes. Anytime you have someone who does not have a political ideology themselves, and you put them next to an ideologue, they are going to be yanked to that position. So Andy like ended up like a ghost on his own show because he had somebody that was like super into their positions. Yeah. And and then of course Andy went to Florida and he has that famous quote.
Yeah. That shit went real downhill. The one thing I was going to say too was like another thing that Andy is a good example of is just like how you used to be able to do more edgy, like borderline stuff just a few years ago. Cause like, yeah, he definitely had more extreme, more cursing. Like he was doing like all kinds of like, I can't even think of all the examples.
Andy was like a little edgelord, and then he teamed up with an ideologue. So this is not related to this conversation, but a hilarious video to watch is on Alf Benny's channel, and it is the play-by-play commentary with Devin, Alf, and somebody else of that fateful night in Florida with Andy Worski.
That sounds like fun.
That play-by-play commentary, I think I've now officially recommended it to every single person that I've had on the stream. Maybe minus, I don't know, minus a person here and there. But that commentary is A+, and I didn't even know about that incident until I watched that because Alf Benny.
Yeah, I don't think I saw all the videos. I just heard about what happened or something. I mean, that was even further down the line though. Like he had a downfall before that. where he just like couldn't keep his channel up and his streams and stuff. But yeah, I think that's just a good example, like the levels of stuff we were talking about, because he did get that shit too. He got the same shit, but it's just like I just think it's all
literally. I think there's a difference in kind. Like,
yeah,
you're acknowledging that you didn't understand that where certain talking points came from because you weren't like experienced with them. Andy literally partnered up with an ethno-nationalist, and then that person yanked him towards his position, and on top of that, like took over his show. And then Andy ended up in Florida, not understanding stand your ground. That's another thing. I think that was my first hot take on that Andy thing. Like, I never made a video about it, but like the way he was describing stand your ground is the way that like Cenk Uygur and the Young Turks would describe it in the George Zimmerman versus Trayvon Martin case, which is weird. I mean, weird not weird if you know the Young Turks don't care about factual reporting, but it's weird because stand your ground was literally not a factor in the Florida case. Stand your ground is a pre-trial hearing where they can dismiss the charges without you getting a lawyer, because sometimes in obvious self-defense cases, people would go bankrupt defending themselves because prosecutors still charge them. But like Andy had the Young Turks version of it where you could just shoot anybody in the street.
Yeah, it's like the more exaggerated version, like trying to paint it Florida as a worse place. And I mean, we definitely have our faults. I don't know if you guys noticed, I'm in Florida up here. I'm a Florida fan. Probably explains a lot. I'm sure they'll get some comments about that.
But you moved from LA. I was going to keep that a secret because that's doxing.
Yeah, I mean, it's been out a little bit now. People know I've always been from Florida, so
right,
makes sense.
But yeah, Jesus, there's like so much debate me like broisms in there. Like I can't. I'm like trying to look. See. I said I wanted to keep that to like 5 minutes because. So do you think Carole Baskin is a killer? Make sure to say alleged because she's litigious.
Oh, we're going back to that. I think allegedly there's.
I'm saying, do you think that? But just remember, it's all alleged and nothing's confirmed.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it. I could definitely see it. But I'm just going off of watching the documentary and like that kind of stuff. But I mean, she's got that dead eyes, like no emotion. Like she had the motive. She got like the husband, like all that stuff. They had the cats. Like there's even that scene where the one guy's saying the cats can like devour a whole body and like their stomach will like melt down the bones.
But that's like Joe Exotic saying that, and even though he owns a lot of tigers, I don't know if he's an expert on tigers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's not like technically an expert. He knows like the on the ground information.
It could be true. Their stomachs could be that acidic. But I heard a countervailing information that she didn't have enough animals on the premises at the time that they went missing. That he went missing in order to feed them that way. But at the same time, I've also heard that they didn't keep good records of the animals. I don't know. Like, I'm very weary of documentaries because a documentary could present somebody as innocent, even though they're completely guilty. Like the Joe Exotic, they kind of like put forward the information on him that it looks like he didn't actually hire a hitman and then send him to Florida, like send him to go kill her. But like that could be the documentary framing it. Like,
it's real easy when you're an editor, when you're in charge of the information, you're gatekeeping all the footage they have. I mean, you could really kind of portray things in different ways.
This is an important question for you. Is it gay to be married to two men?
Great question. It depends, because this is a tricky situation since his two husbands were straight. So if you married two straight men, does that make you gay? I'm going to have to go with yes. Just an unequivocal yes, but there is some complications there.
Right. All right. Yeah. I mean, I guess the question is for those guys who claim that, I'm just like reading the chat and it is
it's a crazy chat. I see a lot of flavor in there.
It's definitely very you influenced, but yeah.
I'm the talk of the town.
It's not usually this crazy.
I'll take it. I appreciate all the input. Everyone real excited there, especially like seeing some interesting comments from AIU or Devin. Shout out to AIU. Love that channel.
Oh, you're an AIU fan. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Everybody,
I
everybody
actually
tells
watch
me
liberals
everybody,
channels from time to time.
everybody tells me that everybody guesses that I got that I have him on as the next person. I would talk to him. I'll probably send him a message when I'm like ready to invite him. I have like a list of people, right? A fake list of people, but what you call it? Yeah, I was bugging. I was watching a stream because they were stream sniping a Jesse Lee Peterson thing, where he was debating some girl. I think her name is Karen. And I was watching it, and I'm like, I pop up in the chat, and then people are like, "Get him on" or something. I'm like, like I'm like not. Just because I show up in a chat does not mean that I'm like
I know
to do anything. But yeah,
I know, and I hate to like show up in a chat like trying like seem like you're like taking over or steering the comments.
Oh no, I love that. I love going into a chat and then starting a completely different conversation and then leaving. Like
just bail.
Because Jesus.
I saw that comment too. It's like you want to click on it, but you're like, I don't know. I want to try to get monetized.
No, I don't even think that. I've actually had no problem with the streams. I titled them and tagged them very casually.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. So you're in the yes. There we go. Here we go. A chat presence is an endorsement. That's how that works.
That's true. We just got endorsed by a lot of people.
Yeah,
400 people watching. By the way, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You apparently you attract the whole thing until everybody leaves and goes because Vosh is apparently going to destroy me in 15 minutes.
Oh my god! Oh my god, that's scary, dude. How are you going to survive? Your career's about to be over. What do you think about that? Let me turn this interview around. How does it feel to have this be your last day of your YouTube career?
How does it feel to have my career ended by I'm going to say a giant communist, because he's really big into communism.
He is.
He sells communism for a living. Isn't that interesting?
I mean, it seems like it would be, but in this day and age, there's so many pro-communists popping up, like so much China support out there too. Like it's kind of almost getting old. It's like, yeah, everyone's for China now, or at least a lot of these extreme leftists.
Man down. I'm gonna get that super chat. See, typing next to the super chat in this thing makes it very easy for me to like pick out your comment. Man down. We lost Hunter Avalon. Is all hope lost? So as I said in my video on Hunter, as I said in my video on Hunter, he's not like he was never like he was never ideologically based anyway, and I wasn't in line with that kind of like clown the gays conservatism or whatever you want to call that he did more anyway. So I'm not under the impression that it's a giant loss. Like I know you knew him better than I did, so you might feel differently.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I told myself I wasn't going to say much about it unless people really pressed, but I wish him the best. You know, I don't agree with a lot of the things he's been said or do in the whole switch. Obviously, this ideological switch isn't what I would go with, but
yeah, and like,
I wish him the best. You know, if that's all, if that's what he wants to do, go for it.
And to that point, like people are like, "Oh, you hate Hunter." I don't know anything about. I don't know I don't know him, and I don't know anything really about him except for the information that I looked up in the video. You put out a video. I think it's interesting. I'm going to make a response to it. Or I think it's not interesting, but like not good. I'll make a response to it. So I'm supposed to ask you for $2 from Krista if debates are homosexual, because I'm sure there are about 8 million quotes. I've heard a bunch of them where you say debates are gay.
This is actually a fair question. I think I have said that debates are gay before. And I think we could kind of get some proof for that if you consider all these people that ask to debate. I mean, we're talking about Vosh.
Yeah. So
we're talking about Destiny. We're talking about Hunter is a debate me bro now. I mean, they're not the most heterosexual looking people.
The original debate me bros were the vegans, but
yeah, Vegan Gains is questionable as well.
Yeah,
so I'm not trying to accuse anyone, and there's nothing wrong with being gay. Nothing wrong with that, just like Seinfeld says.
So, well, it's two men battling for the entertainment of other people. How is that not porn?
It's like, oh yeah, come out. I want to see you, another male, and me and you're gonna go head to head, and I'm gonna fuck you. Oh, are we allowed to curse here?
Yeah, I mean, you can. Like, I would just prefer if you didn't like drop like all the F bombs because just in case.
Yeah, I was gonna actually. My bad. You guys know what I mean.
That's fine. So have you seen the Stefan Molyneux Vosh debate? I did see it. So here's what happens when you guys spam my comments over and over again, telling me to debate somebody. I actually look into that person because we have that kind of relationship. I care about you guys. So I watched some of the debates. That's how I found the Hunter thing months ago, because you guys started telling me to debate Vosh months ago. Like I found that stream months ago because I thought that was a debate. I'm like, oh, I didn't know he moved to the left. And I just, moved on with my life because I didn't think it was a thing. And
I was on the same page because you were giving me some of the first clips of that when I was like, that's when I got really surprised. Like that was my main reaction. I was just kind of surprised. And I never, like I've never said I never hate anyone. I'll never hate any of my friends, former friends, whatever they may be.
Yeah, but like I thought like I get all my YouTube news from other YouTubers because I don't pay attention to what other, like I don't know who's fighting who or any of that nonsense. But like people just send me stuff. It's very interesting. You make a video about a YouTube creator and not saying you because like I don't want to, like, you knew him as more of a friend, so I'm not like digging up dirt with you, but like random people I don't know direct message you like random shit about people, and it's like, wow, like YouTube is like there's some shady nonsense.
It's like it's like high school, like it's like high school 2.0 or something, like to the craziest degree. So there's so much drama, and then also just like the conflict and the infighting, and then like just all that kind of like clicks. There's a lot of clicks, especially.
That's because like a lot of people on this platform, they either start when they're incredibly young or they were, for lack of a better word, dorks their whole lives. So like their internet friends are their real friends.
That's a big part of it. And then the lack of experience and like just like education's kind of part of it, but just like going to college and having that experience, like when you don't have that and you're just like jumping on the internet and you think all these people are your best friends now. And like I see people say like, oh, I'm so mad about my internet friends. And it's just like that's the kind of cringy stuff that I think we're getting at.
So like Ruslan for $2 says, is Jenk's nephew a giant communist? I mean, not his head.
His shoulders are giant communist shoulders.
You know what's kind of funny. So like people send me like I found AIU. I don't know if he's still in the chat. I found him because I made a video about Jenk's nephew, and people commented over and over again. What's the nickname that he has for him?
I forget. I think I know it's
the chat's gonna spam it. I'll come back to it, but they spam.
Brown Buffalo is Cenk, I think, if that's what you're thinking.
His is Fabio, Brown Fabio. Spam that in there. So then I end up finding like I find creators and stuff now because the recommended is all junk. I found that through my comments, but people get mad. Like some people comment that they're like, and I'm like, okay, cool. Some people like angrily comment that I'm not using the other nickname, and I'm like. Okay.
That's like his name now, and you're getting in trouble. Like it's like set in stone.
When people start asking him in interviews that if he's Jenk's nephew, it just makes me laugh because when I first made that video, people would comment saying no, he's not related to him. I'm like, check your sources, brother.
Yeah, that whole story. That guy's another one. It's just like.
Brendan Lucas says, will you consider bringing Matt Christensen on the stream for a bore-off? I actually like Matt Christensen, but I guess he's boring.
I mean, I've watched his videos. He's good. He has a good stream with Beauty and the Beta, I think.
I don't watch his streams. I watch his videos more. People stream for like hours. I can't remember that.
A lot of streaming. Hunter is pro-life while being pro-choice. The dude is amazing.
No, he really is. Like he states the pro-choice position, but like if you were personally opposed to abortion, like if you and your partner would not get an abortion, And then he goes on, he's like, that makes me pro-life. But then he goes on to state the politically pro-choice position. It's quite impressive.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know what you mean. I think it was just like some convoluted way, like, oh, I'm pro-life personally, but other people should have the choice, which just means you're pro-choice. You know?
Yeah, so clout chasing Spurgs, that's the Debate Me Bro community.
Sounds right.
Pretty much. Nobody challenges me to a debate, although that might change in 5 minutes. Hiram Bifidum for $5. I can't, like, yo, I'm gonna butcher your names. That's just, it is what it is. Paul Robeson, the lady that played Hester in Snake Pit were communists and pretty bad ones on that. How come nobody complained about them? Do you have any idea what that is?
I'm not sure, but it just offhand, I mean, communists aren't as vilified in general. I mean, they should be. I think they're far worse in a lot of ways. I mean, you could prove they're some of the worst human rights violators, some of the
but historically, but those people specifically, I don't know who they are.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's all I could say about this question. I'm not sure of those names.
The lady that played Hester in Snake Pit, I guess I've never seen Snake Pit.
Mm-hmm.
Hydro PX for $10. Hydro PX is just like he's been in every stream, and I see him in other streams too.
That's awesome. Shout out to that guy. We got like similar setups here. Like I was just noticing we're both like in front of these curtains.
Yeah, I had to close it because I get blown out. I actually fixed my lighting setup so I actually have color in my face because I was blown out.
You look good. No homo.
Actually,
I don't want to debate you. I'm not saying I want to debate you.
Debate me, bro. Ask Yourself challenged you to a debate. Has not time passed? So I don't know if people remember this or not, but I debated Ask Yourself on not his channel. So he put out the Debate Me Bro call, and I was like, I'll do it, right? So yeah, that's what it sounds like. I was like, I'll do it, and then he told me that my channel was too like small, which is fine. I had 200 subscribers at the time, whatever. So and he referred me to some other vegans. So I debated that vegan who's OG Misen, who's actually a good guy, and Vegan Revolutions, the guy who wears the mask that like literally goes into slaughterhouses to stop them. So I debated both of them at the same time, and then Ask Yourself came into that debate. So I've already like been through this like years ago. I didn't know he challenged me again. Like I don't.
You gotta find that trait, dude. Why don't you find the trait? That's just one of his arguments. No one's probably remembers that.
McCarthy did nothing wrong. Hi, Hydro PX, and this is for your future beverage consumption. Thank you.
I guess that's a pro McCarthy scare comment.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't remember. Like, the thing is, I don't watch Ask Yourself's videos. I don't know if he makes videos or he just does streams. Like,
yeah, I think it was a little bit of both. I haven't seen that stuff since like 2017 was when we both got into it. That was the first topic that we got together on, was doing streams against vegans, and eventually we were like both hitting them up. Like I did Vegan Gains, and then the one you did. Some good debate.
Yeah, so I just that's like, I think there's like the vegan agenda. That's the number one thing, which is funny because they seem to want to debate more than they want to put anybody into veganism. But I already had that conversation. I haven't made any vegan videos. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't thought about it in a long time. I think they just came up, and sometimes you'll see like a vegan in another story, and you're like, of course they're a vegan. Or like,
I don't know who Griffith is. Did nothing wrong.
Griffith.
Is that like a movie character?
Yeah, I'm not sure here. I'm not sure. Good question.
Somebody's gonna tell me like actually Griffith is a dog whistle to something.
Yeah. Now we're secret terrorists.
Greetings from Trudeau's cottage. Take my moose money. Thank you, Jake Brocklebank. Okay, that's a weird last name. I'm not saying anything. Thank you for the donation.
Thank you. Sorry.
Why are you a monster that eats meat, Brooks? Answer the question.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm just really interested in good food. No, I just yeah. I mean, I don't know. I know he's joking, but I never saw an issue with eating meat. I never bought into any of that stuff. Like it's
Griff
not. It's
Griffith is from Berserk, an anime. I don't watch what you're going. Like I don't watch any.
read the room, guys. Read the room.
Isn't that like a thing where people are like no anime people on YouTube, or like anime avatars are like the cruel people, like they're the ones who like leave you the nastiest comments.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know of the thing specifically, but I've seen that before. I've seen a lot of these animes like getting real hardcore on Twitter and stuff too.
Somebody thinks they're like going to trick me by putting in Birth of a Nation. I have a criminal justice and a film background. I know what that movie is. And there's also a new one, like one made for the same title. It was like an Oscar bait movie from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember
They
that.
play the same song in that movie, the original one, for 3 hours straight, like almost on a loop. Like I couldn't get through it, but you're supposed to watch some of it because D.W. Griffith is he's a very like obviously he made that movie, so everybody's like he's evil, but he's invented so many crucial film techniques. It's like that woman who directed the Nazi propaganda movies. We still use her shooting styles to magnify crowds and things like that. But D.W. Griffith invented cross-cutting as a technique in film, which is when you cut from one location and to another, like two scenes, and it gives you the illusion, and it only works in film, that they're taking place at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm actually like old film stuff. Like you're not going to slip that one by me. You slip an anime.
Yeah, I remember that one. I guess that's why they mentioned Griffith too. Like, yeah, that's one of those movies. I mean, it's like everyone watches it in film school at some point.
Yeah.
And it's not because we're racist or like because you believe in that shit. Like it's the same reason people might watch some of those Nazi propaganda films. Like you're just watching history. You're watching it's art, the style and what they filmed with what camera.
Well, the reason that these are effective propaganda films, and obviously they were not Birth of a Nation, although it was screened at the White House, is that they were put forward, they were promoted by the government. Obviously, one was literally a government propaganda film. But the reason that they're the ones that stick out is because they have effective film techniques in the in the movie. So like cross-cutting you can't make a movie without cross-cutting, basically. Like, you could do like the first 40 minutes of Room with Brie Larson, where she's trapped in there with the kid.
Yeah.
Like it's all in that location. So I guess you could do that. And this is when I'm waiting for the people to be like, oh, Brie Larson movie. That movie's fantastic. So send me your hate.
I haven't seen that yet. I've heard of it. That's the one where she got the Oscar.
Yeah, no, that movie have you seen 10 Cloverfield Lane?
Yeah.
No, 10 Cloverfield Lane is really good up until the point where there's like an alien at the end for no reason. Because they need a tie-in, like that didn't make any sense. But it's the movie Room is more tense than that. Lauren Chen for $10, Canadian, so I don't know what that converts to. Hey guys, just wanted to say hi. Hope you're both doing well. I am doing well. How are you doing, Brooks?
Doing great. Good to hear from you, Lauren.
Thank you for the donation, Lauren. You can find me if Lauren ever goes live again, because in Quebec, they've like locked it down so that you can't get to a gathering of 3 or more people. If she ever goes live again, I troll, not troll, but I try to get some smiles out of her and Liam at the end of with the chats.
Yeah, on that stream.
Yeah. Somebody just did the conversion rate. I don't think that's quite accurate, but
it's like, no, you owe her $1 now.
No, I appreciate her saying. I appreciate her stopping.
No, we're just talking about the conversion.
But what you call it? Yeah. So I forgot we were talking something film related. Yeah, but the movie Room is good. I think Spotlight, that movie with all the actors, with Mark Ruffalo, the Catholic Church is Bad movie.
Right.
That one won Best Picture. I would have picked Room that year regardless, because that's why when Brie Larson, whatever, people are like, oh, she's so woke or whatever. When she was cast as Captain Marvel, I'm like, she's a good actress. It's crazy because Gal Gadot is a terrible actress, but she did a much better job at Wonder Woman than Larson did in Captain Marvel.
Yeah, for sure. And I used to actually be a fan of Larson pre-Captain Marvel times because she was on like Community and some other funny shows. I think she was on The United States of Tara. Was that one like her first shows? Like she had some good comedy roles early on, and she used to be like cuter too. And then all of a sudden she did The Room and then Captain Marvel, and it turned her into this. You know how that all went. We talked about that.
Well, I actually never. She's in like the bad seasons of Community. Community's fantastic. It's on Netflix, by the way. Everybody should watch that.
Yeah, she was just a guest, like a couple episodes or something.
But so I didn't really know her from there. I found that out after the fact, after she was cast as Captain Marvel. But like a lot of people, I've made Captain Marvel videos. I think mine was productive because I said how the movie, in my opinion, could have been better. But a lot of people they follow Brie Larson around, and they've made like 600 videos on her. And I'm like, yeah, she's annoying, but like she's just uncharismatic. Like Chris Evans believes the same things as Brie Larson, more or less. What you call it? A bunch of these actors do.
Yeah, Chris Evans is infinitely more likable. Like, I just agree with him just as much. But yeah, with Larson, it was just very off-putting, like from the beginning, just like kind of like this bad first impression when she came into the Marvel family when she was cast. And then from there, it just like got worse and worse.
What'd you think of the Oscars? Because I thought it was really funny that I forgot the name of the Korean director, the one who did Parasite. Right. That everybody goes up there. They're, Joaquin Phoenix is like, milk is terrible, and I'm sorry, like he can't talk up there. But like the Korean guy gets up there and he's like, I really love movies. It's an honor to be with these filmmakers. I'm going to take my trophies and go drink. Like he was so appreciative of that, and he didn't want to like convey a message. His film speaks for itself. If you haven't seen it, I actually do recommend it. And he had none of that political preachiness because he's like, it's an honor to be the first foreign film director to win not only best foreign film, but best director.
Yeah, he had a great presence, great response. Of course, I think I made a video or two at the time about some of those dumb celebrity speeches. One specifically, this actually came up again recently because he was in the news again, but I thought about the Joaquin Phoenix one because I did the video, and that was like, I think that was the last time I mentioned like a vegan story in a video.
Right.
And it was the Oscars, and it was because he was going all pro-vegan and just being really terrible. And then that came back up. I don't know if the video's out yet, but he just did another. Oh no, I did the video about.
He did the prison, like I did that. The prisoners out, which is weird because they promoted that video. I believe I saw a video on it. I can't remember. It might have been yours, but they promoted that as free elderly, like incapacitated inmates. People who aren't really a threat. And in reality, he doesn't say any of that in the video, and he's really awkward in it.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, it was like a really low like energy video. It was just like, it was like one of those things. Is like, is this guy caught by terrorists? Do they have a gun behind the camera? Like, it was like, why is he doing this? And I felt the same way at the Oscar speech, albeit, I mean, he seemed more enthusiastic about that.
Well, he has an interesting background. I know his brother died. I know his real original name is Leaf, like his Leaf Phoenix. His whole family were in like this cult in San Juan, and they're all named after something nature-y. I think his brother might have been River Phoenix, the one that died. But
yeah, it was River. Yeah.
So LM Shaw 68 says, "Thank you for making Sunday better." What do you think about the Joker should have won Best Picture? Because I think I am the only person who was not in love with that movie.
Yeah, I think I might have rooted for it, like just because of the whole surrounding story and the cultural phenomenon. Like it got me really stoked on Joker, and just kind of being like, because it just kind of was like the perfect like screw you to all these like leftists who were triggered by it, and just kind of like the whole thing behind it. But was it the best picture of the year? Probably not. Like I don't think it was the best movie or anything. Like I enjoyed it enough, but it was very like, I don't like stuff that's that depressing necessarily. No. Like I think it was good. And it was good and it was dark, but it was kind of like hard to watch. But I guess that is kind of what goes for Oscars. I can't say whether it's better than Parasite. I haven't seen Parasite.
I would recommend it.
It looks like a good movie though.
I've seen a lot of what you got. I've seen a lot of sorry, I got stumbled on something in the chat. I've seen a lot of Korean movies, and they all seem to have that tone, like a tonal change from the beginning to the end. Although Old Boy isn't one of them. And by the way, if you guys ever want to watch Old Boy, it's fantastic, but don't watch the Spike Lee directed one.
Yeah, I ended up watching that one.
That's so unfortunate. He really misses the point. There
is an upside because it has Scarlet Witch naked. So,
I mean, I don't know.
It's not enough.
Elizabeth Olsen is not. I don't know. That's not a life change. That doesn't change the.
Come on, dude. Don't be a debate me, bro. You don't like chicks?
It's not that. It's the Korean movie has hot Korean women.
That's true. That's true. No, I'm playing, of course.
So, I would definitely recommend that. I would definitely recommend Parasite. It's really well done. Although there is like that moment where things all go out of control. I'm like, but I would give that. I agree with the Joaquin Phoenix getting the best actor and the Joker not getting the best movie. It's actually a little bit embarrassing to me that Todd Phillips is ripping off Martin Scorsese next to Martin Scorsese, and if he would have got Best Picture for that, I didn't think. I thought Joker was fine. I didn't think it was like incels or whatever. I just don't think it was that good of a movie. I think it is. If you remove Joaquin Phoenix and you put in Jared Leto's Joker, then that movie completely collapses because a lot of the themes, in my opinion, are superficial. But
I can see that.
I'm sure I got plenty of hate from that when I put that in my video response to it. But inspired violence, no, it inspired people to
no way. I think also if you just compare it to all the hype and the story around it was definitely overblown. I'm glad it did well.
Right.
I'm glad it's good because hopefully we'll see more movies like it now since it made a lot of money. But yeah, as far as the whole hype, obviously the one side was really bad and talking about the pro incel stuff. There's a lot of false narratives behind it and people attacking it for different reasons. That was bad. But yeah, the whole hype around it was just definitely overblown. Even if the movie, I'll still say the movie was pretty good, but I see what you're saying too. It wasn't like my favorite movie, or anything like that.
Yeah. I wasn't super impressed by the trailer. Joaquin Phoenix. I will say when Joaquin Phoenix becomes the Joker in the movie, the shift in his presence, on screen, those were the most compelling parts of the movie. That third act for me. And also there is one of the funniest Joker scenes from a comedic level that involves the fat guy and the midget.
Yeah,
I found that to be hilarious. Which apparently I heard that that at that part of the movie somebody laughed in the theater so much that they actually called the police, and I'm like, that's actually hilarious. I love that scene.
Yeah, there was a lot of good moments in there, and it was held up mostly Joaquin Phoenix knocked it out of the park. The rest of the cast, I didn't really not as memorable, but it was all about him anyway.
It's fine. I didn't need the Bruce Wayne tie-ins or any of that. You could have set that aside. I don't know. I felt like I saw the better version of that movie in King of Comedy / in it's Taxi Driver. The movie looks like King of Comedy and Taxi Driver. They literally have Nero cast in the role of the the Jay Leno type host from King of Comedy. But
that's why it was funny that they actually had De Niro in there. That was De Niro had a lot of roles like that last year because he was also in The Irishman with the other movie I think you mentioned.
He started trying again. The Irishman had Pacino in it, right?
Yeah.
I didn't catch it.
De Niro and Pesci all together for the first time. Pacino was Jimmy. Was it Jimmy Hoffa?
Wasn't?
No, it wasn't that. I forget what the names were.
Was Pesci in Heat or no?
Pesci, I don't think Pesci was in Heat. No, he was.
I feel like De Niro and Pacino were in Heat, though.
Yeah, they were both in Heat, and they're kind of they were in it together only for one scene.
Yeah, they're not on screen at the same time.
It was they're good guy, bad guy. But yeah, Pesci wasn't in that one. But the Heat was awesome still. Yeah. But yeah, that was the first movie they're together, and then I think this movie they advertise it because they're actually together more or something.
Into the Spider-Verse is the most underrated film of the decade.
I like that. I mean, I think that's a little hyperbolic, but
I feel like
that was one of my favorite movies that year for sure. Still one of the better like Spider-Man movies, like overall.
I feel like people say that's their favorite Spider-Man movie, and doesn't it have like an absurd, 97% on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that?
Yeah, and I mean it's good. Like it has all the good ingredients because it's funny. It's like a different take. Has all these different Spider-Mans. It has a really good soundtrack, like a really good cast. Like it's actually a surprise because they don't even have enough time to advertise all the people in it, like that are like voices. It's
they do that. They do that with animated movies all the time, where they load up. But Sony is usually a trash studio. Like if you look at their slate of animated movies, they're all usually cheap, awful nonsense, and that one looks fantastic.
Good style, like a new animation style. Like it's refreshing to see something like that when we're so usually dominated by like Pixar and Disney and these certain like 2 or 3 studios.
Sony has not been a good steward of the Spider-Man IP, so it is like refreshing to see somebody who looks like they care about this character be put in charge of it.
Yeah, and Sony's definitely been struggling overall too. Like, I mean, they're the ones that came out with Ghostbusters 2016, and amongst other things, though, like they've had other flops and problems as well. So yeah, this was like good to see a big hit for them.
Brooks, I'm going to switch gears and ask you a policy question that you're going to have to answer really quickly. Should you abolish the FDA? Decide now.
No.
Okay. See, there he is. I get people are talking about some failures in the FDA. I don't know necessarily abolish it, but if the FDA is preventing people who are already going to die from any illness, then they need to change those laws related to the FDA. Like you should be able to take experimental treatments if you're already dying. Like there's no point.
And I think the FDA it's a tool of our government. So yeah, like you said, if you need to change some of the ingredients or the stuff behind it, it's not like we need to take the whole tool away. We need to just make it work better.
Scott Crawford called you personally a loser, even though this comment doesn't have that context. I assume it's
I'm
for
sure.
you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He's banned and unsubbed from the channel, I guess.
Yeah, we're gonna go protest at his house tonight too.
Let's see what else we got. I don't know, but yeah. I can't believe I gotta watch that. He's gonna stream my whole video and it's 26 minutes. I feel like that's what's gonna happen, and I'm gonna have to do that.
It's gonna be a lot to do. Got a lot on your plate.
I mean, look, I would like Scott. I would maybe he was saying loser for not abolishing the FDA. Maybe there was actually context in there. I would say that you should change up the FDA. Like the idea that you have of course, for people that are going to die anyway, or they're in intensive pain. The idea that you're going to withhold experimental treatments that are promising in testing because they're not approved to people who want them. Like the whole point of the FDA is to protect you from the negative impacts of drugs, to reduce the cost, like reduce loss of human life through our medical system. But when you have regulations that subvert that purpose, you should alter them. Now, like whatever you do with the FDA, like you abolish that agency, you're going to get some form of a replacement. And what's going to end up happening is if the feds like abolish it overnight, you're going to end up getting an FDA replacement on a statewide level, because somebody's going to have to, like some government official is going to take it upon themselves to regulate what kind of drugs exist are made available in the United States. So like, yeah, like I don't know. I don't know about the ethics.
What would happen if it was abolished? It's like, what are we just going to let everything come through? Like, wouldn't there be a lot of problems with that?
I mean, the basic case, the case for the FDA is that they prevent. Supposedly that they prevent drugs that come on the market that do more harm. And the case for abolishing it is when you weigh the lives that are lost when people are waiting 10 years for a clinical trial to actually approve a drug against the lives lost by drugs that are put out on the market, then they would say that that's more. But the lives that are lost by adverse reactions of drugs are happening with an FDA, not with pharmaceutical companies marketing directly to you. So it's not actually it's not a one-to-one comparison the way it's made to be seen. And
sure.
So there's also a bunch of FDA approved drugs that end up hurting people. Like the FDA is not perfect. If you have a better system, 100% on board with it. Eric Milan, a lot of us are out of work due to this lockdown, including myself. I was expecting more talk on your thoughts about how we get back to normal. I follow both of you. Big fan. Keep it up. Like, dude.
Thanks, Eric.
If I really appreciate the donation, but if you're out of work, I want you to like hang on to your money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Only if you got it, guys, for sure. But it's good to hear something positive, and I like his. Like we should try to work towards getting back to normal. Like, are we ready yet? Like, I mean, that's the debate. I don't know where you want to go with that discussion, but I think that it's important to be somewhat hopeful and say, hey, we might not go back to normal, but let's find a new normal, and hopefully sooner rather than later.
Right. Yeah, and I would want. It's funny because anytime you have the discussion about how we're going to reopen the economy, there's people who consider it that you're minimizing the cost of human life, and like what you're trying to do is estimate a trade-off. It's something that we do in our society all the time.
Yeah.
So, like at some point,
I think the other side of the trade-off too, not a lot of people acknowledge, like if we keep shut down and we keep crashing the economy, there's a point where it gets worse than the actual sickness and what's happening with the sickness. And we're kind of close to there. I actually saw a couple of articles and like a graph talking about how we're kind of like, I think they always say flatten the curve. Like I kind of get cringe when people say flatten the curve at this point, because
I get what they mean, but it's
like you're trying to like sound like you know what you're talking about. But anyway, I saw an actual graph where it was like the curve is flattening and we kind of need to like reopen before we dip down and like get worse kind of thing.
Well, I think it's fair to ask. We're closing down the economy. People are suffering. People will die as a result of the economy being closed.
Yeah, that's where I was going to.
This is supposedly like flattening the curve is just an effort to spread out the infection over a longer period of time. It's not a solution. It's literally in its name. It is buying time for a solution. So I think it's fair to ask, state and especially the federal government, because they're the ones freaking incinerating money right now, like what their plan is to ramp up production for this time. And it's what subject do you guys have disagreements on? We might have disagreements. We might have disagreements on this, and we might have disagreements on Trump's job performance so far in this crisis.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're there. I can't say many examples offhand. Like, I mean, we don't really do a lot of arguing. Right. We agree on a lot too. It seems like, but I don't know. I think maybe off the top of my head, I feel like I might be more conservative than I think you are. Like, I think you're probably on the right side somewhere, but I don't know how you feel.
I'm more libertarian. I've said the difference. I think I've described. I think in terms of your political spectrum, I think you're more of a Republican than maybe ideologically based, if that makes sense. Although I do see you attacking Republicans on there. It's not perfect. Like you might be more aligned with Trump than I am.
Yeah, that's right. That's kind of what I was thinking too. Yeah, maybe not far right, but just like more Republican and Trump supporter. And then when you say libertarian, that makes sense, because I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, like libertarian is more towards the center, like a little bit, but it's
I hate that orientation, honestly.
Yeah, it's hard to say that. Yeah,
people say centrist libertarians, and it's like, have you seen the economic policy put forward? It's not, you're not even having a conversation. I think
it's just better to not even go down the line, just say Republican versus libertarian. I
should just do a Kyle Kalinske and make myself the arbitrary center, and then say everybody else is extreme, whatever position I want.
Yeah.
Vosh is a neoliberal
sex pest.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't want to say that because that could be like some kind of whatever. I don't know what that
I mean,
is.
I think it's just like
I know what a neoliberal is.
Or something. I don't know.
Neoliberal. That's another word. You just call somebody, if you're on the left and you want to discredit somebody, you just call them a neoliberal. Like if you're a Democrat and you have like the very reasonable position that even if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter, that Joe Biden is closer to Bernie Sanders than Donald Trump, which I don't think anybody's going to argue on. Maybe on trade, they're actually more similar historically, Trump and Bernie, but like overall, Joe Biden's closer to them. So if you're a Democrat and you're like, I'm going to vote for Biden because he's closer, they call you like neoliberal scum. You support drone bomber and all that nonsense. Like,
I like the drone bomber one. I gotta write that one down.
I'm telling you, by the way, who do you think is going to be the VP? Because I have Elizabeth Warren, and people are calling me crazy, but I've seen all the seasons of Game of Thrones, even the bad ones, and I'm telling you, it's her.
I guess I could see the possibility. I really just think if I made a guess, it would just be like probably someone random, like we would never even, like just a safe pick. I don't know though, because Biden needs more spice to really step up, like and get some momentum. So it might be like a Warren or a Kamala.
Kamala's a no chance.
But yeah, I don't think any of them have a chance. It's hard to gauge because I'm on a side where I think they're all just so terrible.
So Exquisite Blood $5 says allow states to decide for themselves whether or not private sectors can prescribe experimental drugs. Allow states to individually decide more. Yeah, the FDA usurps your ability to do that as a state. So I would prefer, at least states trying it. And then you would have comparison data. Ivorn with, I think that's Check 100. I'm not sure. Thank you very much for the donation. People support the FDA because they fear what might happen without it. Fear should not make societal decisions. Well, a lot of people have a bias towards normalcy. Look, if you have a better alternative, I'm fine with getting rid of the FDA. Like, you just have to put forward a better alternative.
Yeah, I think it's just too offhand because I haven't even heard about this topic much specifically. I think I know where they're going because it's in relation to the crisis and trying to these new medications that are possibly experimental. Like right. I see all that, but the idea to abolish, like there has to be some kind of plan for it. So I guess you could assume they would have some kind of process to phase it out. But
no, I mean they're just saying get rid of the FDA. Like, they want whoever's elected to figure out how. I'm sure if I talk to people who advocate for that, they have a good explanation. But so Rev 68 says he would bet money on Warren. I only highlight comments that agree with me, obviously. So the reason I say it's Warren is because Warren lost her own state, and in terms of politics, when you're about to lose your own state, you typically drop out of the race before that happens because that's embarrassing. However, Warren said that she was going to hang around, and she hung around for a couple of days. Then she didn't endorse Bernie, and Warren is more ideologically aligned with Bernie. Now, my basic theory is that Warren had a conversation with Bernie, and this is like confirmed that they did have this conversation, where they basically said they wouldn't attack each other. And it's not hard to infer that Bernie would have picked Warren as his VP. They're the most aligned. Warren was really popular among places where Bernie wasn't popular, the media and all that. The media was pumping Warren hard.
Yeah.
And if Warren's going to sell out Bernie and he's potentially offering her the VP, what are you going to sell out? What are you going to sell him out for? You're not going to sell him out for something lower. You're going to sell him out for the VP. So that's why I said, as soon as I saw that behavior, I thought that Warren would be the VP. Although somebody did point out that Klobuchar did drop out and endorse Biden in Minnesota, where he was down, and Biden did win Minnesota. So it could be them. But
it could be either. I could see where you're going with the Warren stuff though, because the way you put it, like I could see it being like a pick. Like he's not going to pick Bernie Sanders, but he wants some of that Bernie Sanders attention. So he's going like with the second choice of Warren, getting the similar crowd.
Well, people say that people always ask me what my favorite political show is, like West Wing or House of Cards or any of these. And it's Game of Thrones, because West Wing and House, like those have politics wrong. West Wing is the left wing view of politics. Like you could tell Cenk and Kyle Kalinske and all those like lefties, they're big fans of West Wing, because their solution to everything is you elect the right person and then he gives a big speech at the end and it wins everybody over.
Yeah, West Wing was basically just like a liberal fantasy show made during the Bush administration, and they were just fantasizing if they had a Democrat instead.
I put $357 or $67 on Warren to be the pick because Sean, you better be right. Don't. I didn't say bet your money.
Take it to Vegas. Took it to Vegas.
Just because I said it doesn't mean you should bet money on it. You should have bet. You didn't even ask me for a degree of certainty. Like, I made 12 videos where I said Joe Biden would take the lead after South Carolina over the course of a year. I was certain on that. Warren, I'm at like 75%. So that's not the best bet, sir. I don't think it's going to be Kamala though. I think that would be a mistake for Biden to do.
Yeah.
But so I say Game of Thrones actually has politics correctly, because even if you look at the layout of the world of Game of Thrones before they even start, like where everybody is, it's actually lined up with this book called Rules for Rulers, which talks about how essentially in order to maintain power, you have to get the keys to power on your side. It's a long thing. I'm not going to get into it. But one of the things that is laid out is that the people who churn last usually get the best rewards. And if you know the backstory of Game of Thrones, the Lannisters are the last people to turn on the Mad King, and Cersei ends up married to Robert.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I could see that. Obviously it's a show with a lot of other stuff going on,
right?
But at the bottom line, it is Game of Thrones fighting for the throne, politics in in a different era where politics a lot of times are violent and about war more.
But it's the same principle. Like if you remember, Stannis was next in line for the throne, but nobody wanted to side with Stannis, and you need those the small councils that are the keys to power. People didn't want to side with Stannis because he would throw them off the small council. That's why they were trying to get Renly, and then Littlefinger was trying to get Ned. Like, it actually, Game of Thrones is a better breakdown of politics, even though it's fiction, it has dragons, all that. First 4 seasons, obviously. Game of Thrones is a better depiction of politics than like The West Wing with like Martin Sheen giving a giant.
Yeah, and that's why I could see that when we spell it out. And then back to the thing I was kind of hinting at about West Wing is like, it's like a fantasy, it's like it's like how they imagine politics would be in like a perfect kind of world, and then or should be, or just like like they romanticize it, and like you said, there's always this nice big emotional build up in a speech at the end, and then there's always like the good guys always win, and they always end up like whatever screwing over someone who like whatever their episode's premise is.
Right. Yeah.
The other one I thought of too, when you said another political show, it's kind of political, it's got other stuff too, is Billions is really good. And Billions has that too, because there's one season or one story where the guy is like running for district attorney for New York State.
Right.
And you reminded me of it too, because you mentioned like keys to power or something. And like, there's one episode where he has to like get the blessing of like this guy in upstate New York. And he's kind of like the guy who just is like the main political guy. He's like a political player, right, but he's not really in office or anything. He's just like this one guy who kind of like runs politics behind the scenes in like the whole state.
Right. All right. So I got a chat from Chauncey Stewart. It's NT75. I don't know what that is. What do you think about the Bernie Bros making demands on Joe Biden in order to earn their vote? What do you think? I'm actually going to wrap this question because we're running against an hour 20. So
yeah, we could wrap it up soon. I think I don't know. I just think the Bernie Bros are very entitled, and they're not as numerous or significant as they think.
I mean, even Noam Chomsky has like bent the knee to Joe Biden. There's this illusion that Joe Biden is more toxic than Hillary. That's just not true. He's not.
No way. Yeah, no way. Like Joe Biden, I mean, I don't like him. I don't agree with stuff, but I admitted. I think I admitted with you on another stream. It was like, he's got likability factor. He's got less baggage. He's got baggage too. Like we've talked about stuff. We talked about his family and other bad things. But yeah, that's nothing compared to like Hill Dog.
The right has successfully, and I think Hillary Clinton earned a lot of this, but the right has successfully tarred Hillary Clinton's name. That is not the same with Joe Biden, because he was like a ghost as VP. Mm-hmm. Did Littlefinger really want Ned? Brandon Lucas? I can't believe this. So this is like the last one. We're gonna wrap this up, and like people like to flood at the end. Obviously, if I see them, we'll skip to them. Did Littlefinger really want Ned? No, he wanted Renly because Renly would keep him on the small council, or he wanted Ned to cut a deal with the Lannisters. Season 1, man. What do you think?
Obviously.
But
are you gonna make that video? You mentioned making a Game of Thrones video.
Yeah, because I'm still bitter about it. Did you like the answers in there of that poll?
Yeah, I saw your poll. I was like, okay, let's see if this still works. I mean, I think Game of Thrones is always interesting. I thought it was a good show up until certain plot points.
Yeah, it kind of petered. I'm actually going to talk about that because like if you can't really know what went wrong without that show without accurately identifying what was so good about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so yeah, that's we could wrap up on that note. We kind of went through the whole. Oh, here we go. We have another one. We kind of went through the whole the whole gamut of topics. We
got through a lot. We got a lot done.
We started with controversy and ended with television
and Game of Thrones. Yeah.
So is the left overplaying the idea that Biden needs a woman of color to win? So the reason also I don't think Biden's going to pick a woman of color. Oh, God, cringe. A black woman, because that's who we're talking about. Like there's no Hispanic, like maybe he'll pick a Hispanic out of nowhere, but I haven't seen the person. Is because he said he's going to put a black woman on the Supreme Court.
It's such a ridiculous identity politics move. I mean, what do you mean? Like you're not going to pick the best judge? You're not going to go through some candidates? Like, how do you even know there's going to be a black woman like that's available at that time? I mean, obviously there's plenty of black women judges out there, I'm sure, but it's not the way you go about hiring someone.
It's funny that he would. You could make the case that you could oppose his nomination based on the fact that he just said, I'm nominating this person because she's a black woman.
Because it's like, how that's even especially ridiculous, because it's like he's basically saying, who knows what year that'll happen. Like 3 years from now, he's going to hire a black woman.
I think Ruth is going to either kick it or resign from the court. She's 80,000 years old.
I know. She should have already, but she's trying to hold out through this election.
I mean, look, you're supposed to die on the court and then be replaced. The resigning is for people who say the Supreme Court's not political. They resign when a certain president's in office, and they hang when somebody else isn't. Like they only die when the other party's in office now, and when their party's in office, they resign.
Yeah, that's true.
Jared Sparks for $10. How do you think Trump's presidency will impact the right in the long run? I think he's moderated the right on LGBT issues. He was holding up the gay pride flag at the parade.
Mm-hmm.
I think
it's strengthening. I think it's bringing a lot more people together. Like you said, the moderating gets in some more centrist leaning. Again, the spectrum is annoying, but less far right people. And I think with his success, I mean, it's hard to say now because we're in like this whole kind of in between time. Like if you asked this question like a few months ago before the crisis, you could have been way more enthusiastic. But now that there's this happening, we don't know if we're going to make it out. That's why the whole presidency and the elections in question now too. Like before that, it was seeming like Trump had a great advantage, but now anything could happen.
Right. And what you call it depends. It depends because Obama was a huge figure, but he was a unique figure. Trump might be a unique figure and not impact the party long term. You don't know what happens until he's out of office. Obviously, if his kid wins the nomination, one of them for the next go around, then he's going to have a huge impact. It will be Trump's party.
Yeah, I could see that.
It seems to me that Libertarian won the argument with a lot of left-leaning people calling themselves Libertarian, but still holds most of the same big government policies. I mean, Libertarians are for dramatically reducing the size and scope of government. I think a lot of left-leaning people use libertarian arguments, especially on social issues, but like in reality, they would be perfectly fine restricting social freedoms in order to like forward their, commie utopia.
Oh yeah, they're living it up right now. They're asking for more lockdowns and more shutdowns and stuff. Like they want this to go on for months and months. I did a video about the Newsbroke lady saying that, and she's like full blown Bernie bro communist, like straight up from South America.
All right, so I'm gonna end it there. On thank you guys so much for donating and watching. I hope you guys were having fun. Somebody put in the chat. I just want to last little thing. It was like, hi, I was wondering why nobody's pushing the centrist point. There's too many people who call themselves centrist on this platform. I think
you even push like a centrist point. It's like you're in the middle, like you don't want to take either side. Like how do you
there's people who do genuinely like have grounded positions that come from both sides of the political spectrum, but there's also people who call themselves centrists that clearly support one side and won't say it.
Yeah, that's what I think most of them are, especially in our circles on YouTube and whatnot. It's just like people kind of fence sitting.
Right. Too many centrists. That's what we're going to end on. Mm-hmm. So yeah, everybody. Okay, we got one more. That's what we're going to end on. It says thanks again. Thank you for
watching.
Yeah. So everybody check out Brooks. His links are in the description box of this video. His Twitter and his YouTube. He also has a second YouTube channel. It's NoBS2, the same as his first, but with the number 2 at the end of it. Yeah, this has been a live stream with me and Brooks. Till next, say bye, Brooks.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. New video tomorrow. Really appreciate your time. The chat's been great. Thanks for having me, Sean.
Yeah, no problem.